like the first P over Q questions are kind of long, so I'm going to start on the second page of the review. But guys, do know, you need to know everything from your first quiz, 2-1, 2-2, 2-3. Along division, vertex form, graphing, all that sort of stuff. So everything that was on the quiz. And then what we're going to go over today and what we've gone over the last few days. So I'm going to start here with number 9. We'll do 9 and 10, and then we'll work our way backwards. But in a question like number 9, all right, this is just a quadratic, and you guys are determining all of this stuff with it. So we talked about this a long time ago, but how do you know, first of all, what direction this parabola opens? It opens which way? Up. Why does it open up? Because it's positive, all right? So that means if it's positive, I know that I have some sort of a minimum value. So I'm going to go ahead and circle minimum, and it's going to be at whatever y equals of the vertex. I know that my axis of symmetry is going to be whatever x equals of my vertex, all right? What else can I automatically go in and fill in right now? My domain. My domain is negative infinity to positive infinity. What else can I go ahead and fill in? My y-intercept. What is my y-intercept? 1. So I would write it as an ordered pair. So 0, 1. All right, good. All of those things you can tell just by looking. So now in order to find the vertex, we use our x equals negative b over 2a. So a here is 4, b is 2, and c is 1. You guys with me? All right, so negative b, so negative 2 over 2 times a, which is 4, gives me negative 2 over 8, which gives me negative 1/4. Everybody agree? So that right there, guys, is the x part of my vertex. So at negative 1/4. That's my axis of symmetry, is that x equals negative 1/4. You guys have to tell me x equals y equals. It's negative 1/4. On your quiz, some of you forgot the negative, and then when you plugged in, everything else was wrong. So just pay attention to stuff like that. Now that you know what x equals, you can figure out what y equals. What do I do with the x value I got? I plug it in. So I'm going to say 4 times, instead of x, I'm going to put in negative 1/4 squared plus 2 times negative 1/4 plus 1. So when we evaluate this, that squared goes to the numerator and the denominator. So it's 4 times 1 squared is 1, 4 squared is 16. Then I have minus 2 over 4 plus 1. Now we can simplify here. This becomes a 1. This becomes a what? 4. Good. So I have 1/4 minus 2/4 plus what? 4 over 4. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Plus 4 gives me y equals 3/4. So the y part of my vertex is at 3/4. That then means my range is what? You told me it goes upwards, right? So it's going to be from the y part of my vertex, including it, to infinity. I know that my max or min point is the y part of my vertex, so it's 3/4. Can I do my vertex form? Do you have your a term? And do you have your vertex? Yes, so your a term is what? 4. So you have f of x equals, my a term is 4. So it's x minus, what is the x part? 1/4, so minus the negative is plus 1/4 squared plus 3 over 4. There's your vertex form. So we have answered 95% of the questions by just really and truly finding the vertex. That tells you a lot of information. Now, how do you find the x-intercepts? What do? You set your function equal to 0. So in a sense, we factor. Guys, if something doesn't factor, what do you have to use? The quadratic formula. All right, if it factors, great. If it doesn't, then you use the quadratic formula. You might have to use the quadratic formula. You might have to use it more than once. But you guys are okay. So 4 times 1. Are there factors of 4 that are going to multiply to give me 4 but add to give me 2? No. So this is the quadratic formula. So I have x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So I have negative 2 plus minus 2 squared, right? Minus 4 times 1 all over 2 times 4. Everybody with? All right, so I have negative 2 plus minus. What's 2 squared? 4 minus 16 over 8. Anybody notice anything? Negative 2 plus minus negative 12 over 8. Do I need to go any further? Why not? That's imaginary. Now, you guys know how to solve that. If you were just using the quadratic formula to solve, you would continue. But the reason I don't have to go any further is because I'm looking for the x-intercepts. If I have an imaginary, does this quadratic ever touch the x-axis? No, so your answer here would be none. Just be none. So if you had to graph this, just a very basic graph, guys, nothing crazy. Your vertex would be at negative 1/4, positive 3/4. So it would be a little left of 0 and then up a little bit. So maybe like right there-ish. Your y-intercept is at 1. Thanks. And which direction did you say your parabola is going? Upwards. So you should be able to draw a picture that looks similar to the information that you gave me, which is that it doesn't touch the x-axis, that it's a positive parabola, it's going upwards. You can plot the y-intercept. If you have x-intercepts, you can plot those as well. But just a very basic graph. Questions? Yes, ma'am. All right, let's look at number 10. Okay, this was a doozy for some of us because we didn't pay attention to how to factor. Another thing you guys got to pay attention to is your function written in standard form. You cannot tell the end behaviors if you're not looking at the highest exponent. Some of you forgot to rewrite it. So if I look at this, is my highest exponent first? Yes. What is this highest exponent? It's a 5. What kind of number is 5? It's odd. Good. So when I think of odd, I think of what? Opposite. Good. So I know the ends of my graph, just the ends, is going to resemble a line, meaning opposite directions. Is this a positive or a negative? Negative. So the ends are going to look something like this. So what's happening on the left-hand side of the graph and what's happening on the right-hand side of the graph? It's rising on the left and what? Falling on the right. I'd say of everything on the quiz, that's the thing that most people got right, which was good. Now zeros, multiplicity, action, Karen's action at the x-axis, right? What that means is what is happening at the x-axis. I'm picking on you, I know, just because you told me you've never heard that before, so just making sure you hear me. At the x-axis, if you see something an odd number of times, it's going to cross through. If you see a 0 an even number of times, it's going to bounce off. It's going to touch and turn. So when we set this equal to 0, negative 3x to the 5th plus 27x cubed equals 0. Guys, I've told you 100 times, I know your algebra teachers have before. If you lead with the negative, take the negative out. What do these two terms have in common? Negative 3x to the... So look, I'm going to take out a negative 3x to the 3rd. Does that just disappear? No, it just goes out in front. You have negative 3x to the 3rd, and then you're left with x squared minus 9, correct? Now, here's where people made mistakes. First of all, guys, how many answers should I have? I should have 5. Remind yourself of that. When I set negative 3x cubed equals to 0, solve that. Actually divide both sides by negative 3. You get x cubed equals 0. Then you take the what? You take the cube root. Well, what number times itself 3 times gives you 0? 0. But how many zeros do you actually have? You have 3. If you need to write it 3 times so you don't forget, that's fine. But there's 3 of your answers. Now, I had some of you that when you came to x squared minus 9 or difference of perfect squares, you solved it. You said x squared minus 9 equals 0, which is totally fine. X squared equals 9. Then you guys went like this. You said x equals 3. How many answers is that if you just say x equals 3? That's only 1. What does x really equal? plus or minus 3. There's all 5 of your answers. That's why I say when you guys get to this point, I would factor it out more so you see, ooh, I have a positive and a negative. So your zeros, you would tell me x equals 3, x equals negative 3, and x equals 0, however you want to write them. You could write 0 3 times if you want. But multiplicity, do I have multiplicity here? Yes, 3 times. Do I have multiplicity at 3 or negative 3? No. If you wanted to tell me I just have once here and once here, that's fine. So action at the x-axis. What happens when you have a 0, an odd number of times? It's going to cross through. It's going to cross through at all of these points. And then when you graph it, let's just make a quick little picture here. I have x-intercepts at negative 3, 0, and 3. So think about what your action at the x-axis is, crosses through, and what's your end behavior? Rising left, falling right. So I'm rising over here, and I'm falling over here. What's it going to do at each one of those intercepts? It's going to cross through. So it's going to come down, go through 3, go back up through 0, come back down through 3. A lot of you got that right, which was very good. A lot of you got it right based upon your wrong zeros, which actually wasn't correct, but you know what I mean. You understood the concept, which was good. Does anybody have any questions on those? You will see both of those problems tomorrow in their entirety, so make sure you're on top of that. Yes? If it was positive, it'd be just opposite. It'd be like over here and over here.
Oh, okay.
Yep. All right, let's move on up here. I know we're working backwards. That's fine. You're going to have a quadratic problem that you have to solve. So, yes, you need the quadratic formula. But, guys, the most important thing when you go to solve a quadratic is what? Before you just start saying what A, B, and C are. It's got to be in standard form. Everything has to be on one side of the equal sign. It doesn't matter if you move negative 6x and positive 2 to the right, or you move negative 7x squared to the left. It does not matter, but the signs change when you move stuff from the left and right. So I'm just going to take negative 7x squared and move it over there. So it's going to become what? Positive. So I have 7x squared minus 6x plus 2 equals 0. And now we just set up our quadratic. A is 7, B is negative 6, and C is 2. So check me as I throw everything in here. I have negative 6, plus minus negative 6 squared minus 4 times 7 times 2, all over 2 times 7. Everybody with me? Okay. So negative gives me positive 6 plus minus. What's negative 6 squared? 36 minus, what's 4 times 7? 28 times 2. So minus 56 over 14. Okay. Keep going. I have 6 plus minus, what's 36 minus 56? Negative 20 over 14. Good. Guys, negative underneath the radical. No longer do we say, oh, it's imaginary, no solution. We can figure this out. We're talking about complex numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, okay, 6 plus or minus, I'm going to break down 20 to negative 1, 4, and 5. Does everybody agree with me? Separate that negative 1 so you don't get yourself confused. So what can I take out of this radical? The 2, square root of 4 is 2, agreed. And what's the square root of negative 1? I. So y'all are with 6 plus minus 2i root 5 over what? 14. Am I done? No. I will take this answer one of two ways. You can either A, split it up and simplify. I think that's the best way to do it, so you make sure you simplify both fractions. But what goes into both 6 and 14? 2, right? So this becomes 3 over 5. Why don't, thank you. 7 plus minus, what goes into 2i and root 14? 2. So this becomes I root 5 over what? 7. You can leave your answer like that, or you can put it back together over one denominator only because they both have the same denominator. Either way is fine. But guys, the question, do I have to simplify? Don't even ask yourself that question. Do it. You always, always, always need to simplify. Everybody with me on that? All right, let's go to our division problem up here. What's the problem with division? You're going to have a division problem. What's the problem here? Can't have i's in where? The denominator. Before you guys go ahead and multiply by the complex conjugate, is your problem written in standard form? Yes or no? No, I have negative 8 plus I. That's fine in my numerator, but what is my denominator? How do I write that in standard form? Negative 2 plus 10i. Just make sure you get everything set up like you need to. Now, I'm going to multiply by the complex conjugate. What is the complex conjugate of the denominator? Negative 2 minus 10i. So what you do to the bottom, you do to the top. And then this just becomes a big multiplication problem. Let's do the denominator first. What's negative 2 and negative 2? 4. What's negative 2 and a negative 10i? Plus 20i. What's 10i and negative 2? Minus 20i. What's 10i and negative 10i? Negative 100i squared. You guys with me? Okay, what happens when you see I squared? You cross it off and you change this because I squared is negative 1. So negative 100 times negative 1 becomes positive 100. So my denominator is 4 plus 100, which is what? 104. What happens to my positive 20i and my negative 20i? They cancel out. Just exactly what we wanted to happen. Yes?
Why did you...
All right, so let's do the numerator. The numerator. What's negative 8 times negative 2? 16. Good. What's negative 8 and negative 10i? Plus 80i. Okay. What's I times negative 2? Negative 2i. And then what's I times negative 10i? Negative 10i squared. Guys, as soon as you see that I squared, what do? Cross it off and change that sign in front. So real stays with real. What's 16 plus 10? 26. And then what's 80i minus 2i? 78i. Now, are we done? No. You need to simplify. If they simplify to the same denominator, you can rewrite it over the same denominator. If they don't, then keep it separate. I'm going to separate and say, okay, 26 over 104 plus 78i over 104. What can I simplify 26 over 104? What goes into both? Say again? 13. Okay, if I divide by 13. 26 divided by 13.
Perfect.
Okay, so if we do 13, that's fine. We get 2 over what? 2 over 4. Can I simplify that a little more? Yeah, it becomes what? Is it 1 over 2?
13 times 4.
I think you mean 26, right? By 4? Yeah, that's what I thought. At first, Shadrach said 13, which you could do. It would be 2 over 8, and then you simplify it again to 1 over 4. If you see that both are divisible by 26, that's fine. 26 divided by 26 is 1. 104 divided by 26 is 4. So again, then I have plus. What goes into both 78 and 104? Okay, 2. 2 will work. What's 78 divided by 2? Guys? 36. Okay, so this is 36i. What's 104 divided by 2? 52. Okay. Does 2 go in it again? Okay, so 18i over 26. Yeah? 2 again? 9i over what? The reason I'm doing this, like I'm going along with whatever you're saying because I want you to see the mistakes that you guys make. You're not following along. There's a few of you that are, and I appreciate it. But you're sitting there like, oh, yeah, it's 7, whatever, it's fine. And then tomorrow, when you don't divide correctly, you guys get upset at yourselves. You've got to put forth the effort every single time we do something. When you guys get here, it's 26 over 104 plus 78 over 104. You're going to have to take out a pencil and write on paper, and you're going to have to do some multiplication and some division. 26 goes into both of these. 26 goes into 26 once. 26 goes into 104 4 times. 26 goes into 78 and 104. It'd be 3i over 4. You can leave your answer separated, or you can put it together. And the reason you can put it together is because they have the same denominator. But y'all, there's a big difference between 36 and 38. There's a big difference between negative 1/2 and positive 1/2. There's that difference in some of you made an A to a C or a B to a D because you just had little tiny mistakes. But those little mistakes get big, so you've got to pay attention to what you're doing. All right, those of you that are, I appreciate it. But those of you who aren't, don't be upset. So here's our final answer. You guys will absolutely have a division on your test tomorrow. So the first 4 questions you absolutely have on your test. Okay, I'm starting on page 2 of the review just because the second part. All right, let's go to the rest. Let's go work from the bottom. All right, you're going to have to perform the indicated operation and write your answer in standard form. Answer in standard form means A plus BI, correct? All right, so real part first, imaginary part second. Guys, take your time here. There's a lot going on. Before you distribute that negative, what should you do right here? What should we do? We should FOIL it. So I have negative 8 minus. Now I'm going to FOIL this. What's negative 7i times 6i? Negative 42i. What's negative 7i and 10i? Negative 70i squared. Good. So though it's 11 times 6. Paulina just asked, should we switch? You can. If you want to, inside this problem, switch to 11 minus 7i. That's fine. But you don't have to. What's 11 and 6? 66. Okay, and then what's 11 times 10i? Plus 110. Whoops. 110i. Guys, when I saw that I squared, what should we do? Cross it off and make this a what? A plus. Don't just assume, the reason I kept it like this, Paulina was to show this. Don't just assume that your reals are always on the outside. They're always only on the outside when you FOIL, when your parentheses are in standard form, but this wasn't. So just make sure you're paying attention. Your reals are right here. What is 70 plus 66? 136. And then what's negative 42i and 110i? Plus 68i. And then you still have this negative 8 minus out here. Good job. Now, before we go and combine all this, what do I have to do with that negative sign? I have to distribute it. So I have negative 8 minus 136 minus 68i. Everybody with? What happens right here with negative 8 and negative 136? I can combine them to be what? Negative 144 minus 68i. Is there anything else I can do? No. Is my problem written in standard form? Yes. So we're good. Yes. All right, scooting over here. Just kind of survey the situation, y'all, before you start doing anything. I know I have a negative 1 right here. I see this. What does that mean? FOIL it. I'm going to rewrite this parenthesis 2 times. I have 9 minus 4i times 9 minus 4i. Does everybody agree with me? So then I'm going to just, plus 17i. Can I go ahead and distribute that negative in there? Yeah, that's fine because you're not multiplying it with anything else. So this becomes minus 19 plus 5. Could I have just added or combined those? 19 minus 5 gives me what? 14. You could have, but if you didn't, God bless you. No worries. No worries. That's why I just left it. So let's FOIL first. What's 9 times 9? 81. What's 9 times negative 4? Negative 36i. Good. Negative 4i and 9. Negative 36i. What's negative 4i and negative 4i? Plus 16i squared. Wait, what? 16 what? I squared. What do I do with I squared? Cross it off and change that sign. Good. Now you have the rest of your problem. Plus 17i minus 19 plus 5. Now you have everything multiplied. You have everything distributed. Now you just can combine from left to right. So real with real. 81 minus 16 minus 19 plus 5. If you already combined that, that's no big deal. But what do you get here? With 81 minus 16 minus 19 minus 5. What is it? 50 what? 51. Good. Now, guys, don't try to do stuff in your head. Write it down. So now I take my imaginary, negative 36 and a negative 36. What's 36 and 36? 72. Okay, so negative 72 plus 17i. Negative 72 plus 17i. What kind of 55? Minus 55i. Now, basic math computation is going to come out at you tomorrow. All right, what about if you guys have this? Here, write this down. All right, you got a problem like this. And it says simplify. Well, in order to combine stuff, real has to stay with real, and imaginary has to stay with imaginary. Okay. So before you try and combine anything, I would break down everything that I possibly could. The square root of negative 27 is negative 1 times 9 times 3. Agreed? Can I do anything with 3 root 5? No, so just leave it. Can I do anything with 4i? Nope, just leave it. And then I have minus 2 times, what can I break 18 into? Okay, so negative 1, times 9 times 2. So now let's go through and simplify. What can I take out of this first radical? 3 what? Okay, so 3i root 3. Okay, then I still have plus 3 root 5 plus 4i. What can I take out here in the last one? This is 3i, and I'm going to multiply it with the 2 in front. So this becomes what? Minus 6i root 2. All right, we did a whole bunch of simplification. I see lots of i's. Can I combine any of those i's together? Why not? Because none of them have the same radical. Good. If they had the same radical, could I? Yes. If you had 3i root 3 minus 6i root 3. Absolutely you could, because they have the same quote-unquote last name. But nothing has the same last name. There's nothing else I can do to combine. What is one thing I could do, though, to write this in standard form? What should go first? The 3 root 5. Whatever doesn't have the I, guys, should be in the front. The rest of it, it doesn't matter the order. Just make sure the signs are okay. But you will have a problem. That's just a whole bunch of simplifying. And you've got to get out all the negatives. You've got to combine like terms where you can. Just breaking down square roots.
Let's say like you didn't have like the negative 6i, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then you only had the rest. Could you combine the 3i squared, the 3i and the 4i?
Like these two?
Yeah. If you didn't have the
If it was just 3i and just 4i, yes. But that's like saying 3x plus 4. You couldn't put those together, right? Same exact thing. Good question. Yeah.
For the one before,
Mm-hmm.
so for the parentheses, like the
19 minus 5?
what? Oh no, the 9.
9 minus 4, yeah.
If you simplified that first, and then you like simplified it with the rest, would that?
If you multiplied it first?
Well, like after you distribute, and then you combine all the like terms, and then you.
Yeah, that would still work. Is that what you did?
Well, yeah, that's what I usually do.
Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. Tedesco's saying, go ahead and foil this out first, and then do combining. That'll be fine. Yep. All right, let's move on up here. We're gonna get through this, I promise. Again, I said to you guys yesterday, we are gonna do all of our rational roots where this first term is positive 1. All right, in this case, it's not. I know it's a 3, but we're gonna treat it just like it's positive 1. But I wanna do this one with you guys. This is a bear. This one took me a minute. I was like, did I write this down wrong? All right, what do you guys notice? First of all, we always talk about how do we factor? What do we do? What do we look for first? Greatest common factor. Is there a GCF here? Yes, I can take out an x, right? Then everything else goes down one exponent. So plus 6x cubed minus 9x squared minus 44x minus 30 equals 0. I already found one of my x values. What is it? Yes. X equals 0. Because at the end here, we're going to set everything equal to 0, and I have that x. I get it out of the way. So now, guys, we look and we say, okay, can we group it? Can we factor it? No, we can't. So we have to use our P over Q, right? Plus minus 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, and 30. Now that we have talked about complex numbers, guys, when it says to find all of the real roots, you guys see where it says real? Does that include the imaginary answers? No. If it just says find all of the roots, does it include the imaginary answers? Yes. Pay attention to what the directions say. If you guys raise your hand tomorrow and say, am I supposed to find all of them? Or that's part of what the question is asking. I'm not going to answer you. So let's try. Let's go through our synthetic division. I'm going to try positive 1. So I have 1, 6, what is it? Negative 9. Why am I putting a comma? 1, 6, negative 9, negative 44, and negative 30. Okay. So let's go with 1. Bring down the 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 times 1 is 7. Negative 9 and 7 is negative 2. Negative 2 and 1 is negative 2. Is this going to work? No. So should I just keep going and waste time? No. Some of you are going to go, oh gosh, if 1 didn't work, we're so far off, negative 1 really won't. I would not do that if I were you, but just saying. So I have 1, 6, negative 9, negative 44, negative 30. Bring down that 1. What's 1 times negative 1? Negative 1. 6 and negative 1 is 5. 5 times negative 1? Negative 5. What's negative 5 and negative 9? Negative 14 and negative 1 is positive 14. What's negative 44 and positive 14? Negative 30. What's a negative 30 and a negative 1? Positive 30. Guys, what'd you just figure out? Negative 1 works. So I'm going to come up over here and say, ooh, another one of my zeros is x equals negative 1. How many should I have? 5. Found 2 of them. So I write my resulting polynomial here. So this is going to be x cubed plus 5x squared minus 14x minus 30 equals 0. This is where we hope and pray that this factors somehow. Does it? No. Oh, she's the worst. Guys, if you get to this point and it's not a quadratic, this is a cubic because the highest exponent is 3. You cannot factor here, so you cannot use the quadratic. You only can use the quadratic when you have the highest exponent of 2. So that means we have to do our P over Q again. Could 1 or negative 1 be a possibility? Yes. You can have the same answer more than once. It just means you have multiplicity, and that's okay. I'm going to go through 1, negative 1. I'm just going to do that until I find. You guys, if you want to guess and check other things, that's up to you. Some of you did that on your quiz, and I could see you guys got frustrated. You tried 1, then negative 2, then 3, and then you just stop. Yes, sir?
Why did it start with like x to the 4th instead of x to the 3rd?
No, because here we started with x to the 4th. So when you synthetically divide, you always start with 1 less. Remember, because we took that original x out. So bring down your 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 times 1 is 6. Negative 14 and 6 is negative 8. Is this going to work? No. Go to the next one. Try negative 1. 1, 5, negative 14, negative 30. Bring down that 1. 1 times negative 1, negative 1. 5 and negative 1, 4. 4 and negative 1, negative 4. Negative 14 and is this going to work? Oh, okay, let's go to 2. Come on, 2. What were my 1, 5, negative 14? 1, 5, negative 14, negative 30. 1 times 2 is 2. 5 and 2 is 7. 7 times 2 is 14. Is this going to work? Oh, jeez. Okay, negative 2. 1, 5, negative 14, negative 30. 1 times negative 2, negative 2. 5 and negative 2, 3. 3 times negative 2, negative 6. 14 and negative 6, negative 20. Is this going to work? No. This is where I started to doubt myself. So let's try 3. 1, 5, negative 14, negative 30. Bring down that 1. What's 1 times 3? 3. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. Negative 14 and 24 is 10. Looky here, guys. What's 10 times 3? 30. What's negative 30, positive 30? Woohoo! We do a little celebration, and we come over here and say, oh, yes, x equals 3. All right? I found 3 of my 5 answers. So with this remaining polynomial, I have x squared plus 8x plus 10 equals 0. How many more solutions are hidden in here? 2. This is where we go, oh, please factor. What are the factors of 10 that multiply to give me 10 but add to give me 8? They don't. Isn't this hilarious? So what do we have to do here, guys? The quadratic formula. Now, this question, way back at the beginning, asked us for all the real roots. So if I do the quadratic formula and they come out to be imaginary, am I going to include that in my answer? No. If the directions said find all of the roots, then yes, I would. But let's just check this out. So negative 8 plus minus 8 squared minus 4 times a is 1, c is 10, all over 2 times 1 is 2. You guys with me? Okay, so we'll just simplify. Negative 8 plus minus, what's 8 squared? Minus 40, all over 2. So negative 8 plus minus, what's 64 minus 40? 24 over 2. Do I have 2 more real roots? Yeah. They're not pretty, but they're real because the number underneath the radical is positive. So let's think about 24. I can break down 24 into what? Like 4 times 6? Gotcha. I gotcha. You're fine. What? Now what happens? Square root of 4 is 2. So look, guys, this comes out to be negative 8 plus minus 2 root 6 over 2. All of that work. Are we done? No. Does 2 go into negative 8? Yes. Watch. Negative 8 over 2 plus minus 2 root 6 over 2. This simplifies to negative 4 plus minus root 6. Those are your other 2 answers. Negative 4 plus square root of 6. Negative 4 minus square root of 6. Negative 4 plus minus square root of 6. Now you guys are going to be like, are we going to have one that long on the test? I don't believe there's any that are that long. You might have to do synthetic division more than once, but I don't think there's any that's going to take you that amount of time. I'll work out 3 on the video. I just won't do it right now. I'll not upload it till I do the last one. Again, the ones on your test, these leading coefficients going to be 1, so don't freak out about that being a 3. I just threw it in there. All right, last thing, remainder theorem. How does this work again? First of all, what is the only thing that I care about? The remainder. So guys, when you set this up, I'll do one of them with you, and then I'll give your quizzes back, and I'll finish the other 2 on the video. Let's do f of negative 2. Okay, I put negative 2 right here. Where any of you that lost points, there was two reasons. One, you just added incorrectly. Or 2, you forgot the placeholder. If there is not an exponent represented, what do you have to put? 0. So I have 4 for my x to the 4th, negative 16 for x cubed, 5 for x squared. What is for x? 0. Good. And then a 9. So now we just bring this down. We multiply to the corner and we add down. So 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Negative 16 and negative 8 is negative 24. Negative 24 and negative 2 is 48. 5 and 48 is 53. Good. 53 times negative 2, negative 106. 0 and negative 106 is negative 106. Negative 106 and negative 2 is positive 212. And then 212 and 9 is 221. So the way that you answer this question is f of negative 2 equals 221. Yeah. Sure. Okay, so if we're going to do the remainder theorem on this one, we're going to use 5 to synthetically divide. And we have our coefficients of x to the 4th would be 4, negative 16, 5 for x squared, 0 for x, and 9 for your constants. So we're going to bring down our 4. 4 times 5 is 20. Negative 16 and 20 is 4. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 and 20 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125. 0 and 125 is 125. 125 times 5 is 625. And 625 and 9 is 634. So f of 5 equals 634. That would be your final answer. And then this one over here, guys. Again, tomorrow on your test, your leading coefficient will be 1. But in this case, we're just going to pretend like it's 1 and do our P over Q like we usually do. We set our factors of 20. So 10, 20. And synthetically divide. So I'm going to try 1. So 3, 2, negative 61, and 20. So bring down your 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 times 1 is 5. Negative 61 and 5 is negative 56. This isn't going to work, so let's go to negative 1. 3, 2, negative 61, and 20. Bring down your 3. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. 2 and negative 3 is negative 1. Negative 1 and negative 1 is 1. This one's not going to work, so go to 2. 3, 2, negative 61, and 20. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Negative 61 and 16 is negative 45. Negative 45, that's not going to work either. So go to negative 2. So 3, 2, negative 61, and 20. Bring down your 3. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. 2 and negative 6 is negative 4. Negative 4 and negative 2 is positive 8. Negative 61 and 8 is negative 53. All right, so let's try 3. So we have 3, 2, negative 61, and 20. So bring down the 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 2 is 11. 11 times 3 is 33. This one's not going to work. So let's try negative 3. All right, so negative 3. 3, 2, negative 61. 3, 2, negative 61, and 20. So bring down the 3. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. This is negative 7. This is positive 21, negative 61, and positive 21 is negative 40. Not gonna work. All right, let's come over here. Okay, scoot on over here, guys, and let's try 4. So my coefficients are 3, 2, negative 61, and 20. So bring down the 3. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. 14 times 4 is 56. Negative 61 and 56 is negative 5. Oh, we got a winner. Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20, so 0. So after all that, we prove that x equals 4. So that's one of our x's. X equals 4. So now my resulting polynomial is 3x squared plus 14x minus 5 equals 0. Now before you jump to quadratic, let's see if this factors. So factors of negative 15 that multiply to give me negative 15 and add to give me 14. Well, I think we can figure that out, guys. What I have positive 15 and a negative 1. That gives me a negative 15 when I multiply and a positive 14 when I add. Then since my a term is not 1, I'm going to divide both by 3. So I'm left with x plus 5 and 3x minus 1, both set equal to 0. So when I solve those two, I get x equals negative 5, and I get x equals positive 1/3. Now, that problem I know was crazy long. They both were, but it's really good practice. Practice and practice and practice and practice. So you guys get some fluency and some speed with this. And you guys will be ready for your test tomorrow. Make sure you study your quiz from 2-1 to 2-3 as well.